Hi, this is Carmen from Annie Design Crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to make another one-skein shawl. This shawl design is triangular and it has a beautiful drape, and I used just one skein of yarn, I think approximately 400 meters. That's just a sample one that I have in my stash, but you can get these anywhere or from any of the yarn dyers. They do beautiful colors. So this light and lacy shawl could also be made using, say, one of these gradient yarn cakes. They're 4-ply fingering weight. That would make a larger shawl, but 400 meters will make you a nice size shawl that you can use to drape around your shoulders. It's a very easy pattern. It's a 2-row repeat and it's very lacy. It's made using very basic stitches that you combine together to create this lovely pattern, and it starts at the bottom and then you work up on either side to increase into a wide triangle shape. You can add tassels afterwards if you wish. They add a lovely finishing touch and a nice bit of flair to it. And so if you stay around, I'll show you how to make this shawl. For the sample I'm going to make you today, I'm just using some yarn from my stash with a bright colour that you can see hopefully, and we will start off by making a magic ring. And the first thing we will do for row 1 is we will chain 6. Your chain 6 counts as 1 treble and 1 chain 2 throughout the pattern. Now there are some special stitches in this pattern and I will go through them with you as we come across them, and you can find the written pattern with all the special stitches listed on my blog Annie Design Crochet under the post Winter Ice, which is the name of this shawl. We will make a V-stitch into the magic ring. That is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, and that will be your V-stitch. For every second row you will do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 2, and finish off row 1 with a treble. Yarn around the hook twice and a treble back into your magic ring. Now pull your ring tight and you can weave in your threads later. That's row 1, chain 6, 1 V-stitch, chain 2, 1 treble. For row 2 we will turn and chain 1. We will make 1 single crochet into your very first stitch. That's the top of your treble from the previous row. 1 single crochet. Chain 1, and we will now make a shell into our V-stitch. And the shell consists of 3 double crochet clusters with a chain 2 in between. I will show you now how to do that. For your first double crochet cluster, yarn over your hook, insert your hook into the V-stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook into your V-stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Chain 2 and make another double crochet cluster. That's your second one. Chain 2, yarn over, insert your hook in the space, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that's your shell. So double crochet cluster, chain 2, double crochet cluster, chain 2, double crochet cluster. We will now chain 1, and we will make one more single crochet in the 4th chain of our beginning chain 6. So there's our 4th chain, and make one single crochet, and that's row 2. For row 3, we will chain 6, and turn. We will make a V-stitch in our very first stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row. So that's 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. Chain 2, and we will make a single crochet in the center of our next shell. That's in the top of your double crochet cluster. It's 1 single crochet, chain 2, and we will make a V-stitch in our final single crochet. V-stitch, which is double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 2, and 1 treble. And that's row 3. So it's chain 6, V-stitch, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch, chain 2, and 1 treble, all in our final single crochet. Now for row 4, we will chain 1 and turn, and make 1 single crochet in our first stitch, chain 1, and we will do a shell as before in our next V-stitch. So that's 1 double crochet cluster, chain 2, our second crochet cluster, chain 2, and our third cluster. That's our shell in our V-stitch. We will chain 1 and make a single crochet in the single crochet that's coming up next. That's your single crochet there. Chain 1 and make another shell in our final V-stitch. 1 cluster, chain 2, our second cluster, chain 2, and our final cluster. And finish off with a chain 1 and 1 single crochet in the 4th chain of our beginning chain 6 for the previous row. So there's our 4th chain, 1 single crochet, and that's row 4. 1 single crochet, chain 1, shell, chain 1, 1 single crochet, chain 1, shell, 1 single crochet after a chain 1 and then 1 single crochet. So you can see the lovely shape that's been formed there. So for row 5, we will again chain 6 and turn. V-stitch in our very first stitch, which is our single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in our center cluster from the shell, chain 2, V-stitch in our next single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in our center cluster of the next shell, chain 2, and we finish off as before with a V-stitch, chain 2 and 1 treble, all in our final stitch. So that's row 5. Chain 6, 1 V-stitch, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch, chain 2, and finish off with 1 treble. And that's row 5. We will now do row 6. Row 6 and row 7 are our 2 repeat rows, and they form the pattern throughout the shawl. You just keep repeating row 6 and row 7 until your shawl is big enough. So for row 6, chain 1, turn, single crochet in your first stitch, chain 1, shell in your first V-stitch, that's your shell, cluster, chain 2, cluster, chain 2, cluster, chain 1, single crochet in your next single crochet, chain 1, shell in your next V-stitch, so you can see what I've done there. There's 2 shells with a single crochet in between and a chain 1 space in between on each side of the single crochet. So we repeat that across, chain 1, single crochet in our next single crochet, chain 1, shell in our next V-stitch, which now is our last V-stitch. So that's a cluster, chain 2, double crochet cluster, chain 2, and final double crochet cluster. And we finish off this row and every row 6 with a chain 1 and 1 single crochet in the 4th chain of your beginning chain 6. So that's the repeat row, and the first of your repeat rows, which is your row 6. So you just, every second row, you just keep repeating that. Start with a single crochet, chain 1, shell, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, shell, chain 1, single crochet, the whole way across, your final shell, chain 1, and your final single crochet. And for your second repeat row, which is row 7, you chain 6, turn, make a V-stitch in your first single crochet, your first stitch, chain 2, single crochet in the middle of your shell, that's in your middle cluster, chain 2, V-stitch in your next single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in your next middle cluster of the shell, chain 2, V-stitch in your next single crochet. Sorry, that was chain 1, not chain 2. Chain 2, single crochet in your center cluster, chain 2, and in your very last stitch you will make, which is your single crochet there, you will make a V-stitch, chain 2, and finish with a treble. And that's row 7. And you can see there the lovely shape, and you keep repeating row 6 and row 7 until your shawl is big enough. And you can find the written pattern and any more details that you might need to see on my blog, Any Design Crochet, under pattern Winter Ice. And when you have your shawl as large as you'd like it to be, you can add tassels. You can find instructions on my blog for the tassels too. You can add tassels. I put them on three corners, and I used a slightly darker shade for a little bit of contrast. And you can make this beautiful shawl. And make sure you block it when you're finished. Soak it very gently in some warm water and pin it out into place and leave it dry. It makes a huge difference to the finished touch, and it opens up all your stitches to reveal the lovely lace pattern.